holiday? Did you get to spend some time with some family?
Yeah, it went well. It was a bit chaotic, but we made it through.
Yeah, yeah. I was reading
Yeah.
your post there. That's cool.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, it's a good post. Rather, not cool that you had issues. I'm sorry you haven't been feeling
Yeah.
well.
No, it's you know what? I'm all about transparency. So,
Yeah,
I mean, I just have this feeling that like there's a lot of things that we think are like the undiscussables. And I would rather be out here having the hard conversations and putting that out in front of people so they feel like they're not alone versus
yeah,
perpetuating the myth that we can't talk about those things.
right.
So,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah. Vulnerability, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I'm I'm got a lot of things going on in the new year too. I'm pretty excited
Okay.
about
Tell
a
me
lot of
about it.
things. I have
Yeah.
a book coming out pretty soon, and
Sweet.
um, I'm also putting together a coaching group, um, trying to put together a collaborative to be able to offer different types of coaching in one place, and then
Very cool.
there's a lot of advantages I think to working together, and then I'm trying to make it a place to be able to attract new coaches.
Mm.
So that's something I'm working on in January. I'm gonna start having events and trying to invite a lot of people. So
Cool. Very cool.
I hope you'll join or think about,
Yeah.
or at least come check it out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So tell me, like, what area have you found that you've really drilled down into in your coaching?
Well, I'm a purpose coach, and so my book coming out is about authentic self, and so I try to help people to get in touch with their authentic self more, and also to live more intentionally,
Nice.
and maybe be more disciplined toward their goals. Those are things that have helped me. So I try to, I think you have to coach yourself first. So
Yeah, we know that's true. Yep. Those of us who are sitting in this position earned our way here with lots of, well, blood, sweat, and tears, really.
Right.
Honestly,
Yeah.
it's cliche, but it's true.
hmm
So, yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
it's a marathon, not a
Yeah,
sprint.
not a sprint. Nope. Just never. I tell people, I'm like, here's the great news. You're going to do all this work on yourself and you're going to pour in hours and spend so much focused time building yourself up. And then you're going to get to do it over and over and over and over. And you're going to realize that it actually never stops and you never get there. And I'm like, and it's great news. Aren't you excited? Doesn't that sound wonderful? But it's true because everybody's selling like a result. And if you've been in this work long enough, there is no end product. We just keep growing and getting better and reaching towards that higher, vision. But you don't ever actually really get there. And that's the point. There is no. Because if we stopped, then what would be the purpose of living?
Right.
Like, all right, I'm done. Okay, take me, Yeah. So.
Or you can aspire to some of the things that people who are really great at it have been able to accomplish.
Yeah.
Be able to do great things in life.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. But the more we think that, the more we put like that gold star on that accomplishment, the more we're going to find that when we get there and we get that star, we still feel that like we're not fulfilled. Because it's not necessarily about the accomplishment itself. It's about the sustained feeling of fulfillment or the sustained feeling of freedom or joy or whatever. It's not actually the thing or the accomplishment. It's being able to sustain like the vibration of feeling that and living in that and recognizing that, like, you know, all the things I have now were all those goals I set for myself. Like, I have them. They're done. They're here. Like, I did it. I have them. Can I just sit in the feeling of I feel really fulfilled and joyful about that right now versus constantly reaching, you know, for the next accomplishment to get here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anytime you want to hit record, we're good. I'll just keep talking your ear off. So you tell me where you want me to go.
Okay, cool. Well, I mean, I clicked it at the beginning, and I hope that's all good.
Yeah, of course.
I figured it was a podcast appointment, so why not just quick start at the beginning, right?
Beautiful. Beautiful. Yep.
So I'm interested in your background. I was looking at your profile, and I feel like we really have probably have a lot in common because I studied English literature in college. And
oh, so cool! Yes.
So maybe you'd like to tell me about how you got from there to here.
Yeah, that's a fun story. Yeah, so I started in college. I started studying broadcast journalism. I wanted to be like a news anchor. You know, I wanted to interview people. I wanted to tell people stories. And I'm still really passionate about that. Passionate about helping people discover and tell their stories. But about 3 years into college, my father passed away very unexpectedly. And that was the first life event that really like shook my bedrock and made me reevaluate. Hold on a second. If life is that fragile, then what am I actually doing here? And when that happened, I was like, okay, well, you know what? I don't know that I can sustainably continue a career in journalism when my heart and my passion is for connecting with people. Like I have to see the fruit of my connection with people. And that's one piece that broadcast journalism kind of you miss out on is that really personal connection. Like people know you, but you don't know them because you never get to connect.
Right.
And so at that moment, I decided that perhaps maybe education was more along the lines of that. I'm still working with individuals. I'm still telling stories, and you know, I love literature. My shelves are constantly filled with books. I'm always reading something. So I thought, well, I could teach English. Like high school English, and then I'd get to work with students one-on-one and have a really personal connection and get to like coach them through those formative years of their life. So I got a minor in English, and I didn't switch my major. I finished my journalism degree, and then I went straight into the classroom for my master's for secondary education, and got my degree and started teaching. And then fast forward to about 2018, I had my fourth child unexpectedly and got very, very, very sick. Went into heart failure and almost died. So that was my second earth-shaking event that made me go, okay, maybe the first time around I didn't hear the message quite clearly. What am I supposed to be doing? Because I feel like this guy is like trying to get my attention and say, okay, what did you come here for? Is it time for you to do what you came here for yet? Because if not, I'm happy to take you home and we can reevaluate this thing. So I had this moment, and I have a book. I actually wrote my story in my book about my heart failure, but that gave me the opportunity to. Oh, you're good. I have a pup too. He's like.
I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
at that chance, you had your heart failure, and it gave you a chance to reevaluate, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I had this moment of like, I get the opportunity, a rare opportunity that a lot of people don't get with this. I get to reframe this and look at this as I get another chance to do this life thing. How many people don't get to say that they got that chance? Like I got to, you say it's a, coaches will say it's a really powerful exercise to go to your deathbed and say, if this were it, if today were my last day, what would I regret? What would I be proud of? What would I want people to say about me? And I had that real life experience. Like I got to do that in life and live through it. And I honestly like had a conversation with God, and I was like, well, if you let me walk out of this hospital room, whatever it is you want me to do, I say yes. I wholeheartedly accept that mission. You just show me. You show me what it is, and I'm with you 100%. You want me to quit my job? I quit my job. I did. I actually quit my full-time job. You want me to spend 2 years of my life studying and doing personal growth and development and prayer and journaling and meditation and like getting this right, this mind, body, spirit? I'm going to do that. I did that. I since have come out consciously uncoupled. I'm in a beautiful new relationship that reflects who I am as a whole human being. I opened my own coaching business, started a podcast, like really shifted major areas of my life, and with gratitude because I got the opportunity to live when I was told that I wouldn't.
Yeah.
So there is nothing that you could throw in front of me with fear written across it that I would say no to, because there's just nothing like getting a second chance on life, Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, yes.
For sure.
Yeah. So that's the long answer to your English literature question.
Yeah. No, that's great. I love it. That's a powerful story.
Yeah.
So that must keep you very motivated then to help other people at the same time, huh? That you can share that now.
Yeah, it does. I've always wanted, ever since I was a kid, really, I've always wanted like the hard things that I went through in my life to have a purpose. Like I wanted to be able to ascribe some meaning to those difficulties that I faced. And so the best way that I've found to do that is to just be really, really honest with people about what I'm facing in my life, so that they can realize that, hey, number one, we're not alone. We're made to do this thing in community. And number two, if there's a part of my story that you feel you can connect with, then use me. Like use me to give yourself some confidence and some courage to face these things, because there's a lot of stuff that you can get through that feels like in the moment you're not going to make it, but like I'm a living, breathing example that you can get through it. So, yeah.
Yeah, right on. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think I was about 5 years old when I had a near-death experience, and
wow.
That was when I realized that I really wanted to help people. I was playing out in a barn because I lived on the farm, and so it started getting dark out, and I climbed up on this hay wagon to turn on the lights in the barn, and I fell off the hay wagon, and there was this big metal fence post, and I cut my leg open on the fence post.
Oh, gosh.
And that was like so it started getting dark, and finally my parents found me, my mom found me, and because this dog we had was not Lassie, would not go get my parents. So that was the last time my mom carried me, and they got me to the hospital just in time. I guess I got like 80 or 100 or stitches, something like that. It was all the way knee to my ankle at the time. And the doctor, I just thought it was so interesting what the doctor was doing, that they couldn't put me to sleep at all with the anesthetics that they gave me.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's a little
I was
terrifying.
just up and looking at what he was doing and asking questions, and I was so amazed and interested. And after that, I thought he was like the coolest guy ever, that it was so neat to help people, and I just knew that I wanted to help people after that.
Wow. Oh my gosh. What an innocent way of experiencing that. Like, how beautiful, like that could have been something that was so traumatic, but the fact that you got to experience it through those eyes, like of that child, that's amazing.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was almost an artery, and I'm like, after my dad made this little crutch for me and everything.
Aww.
I still have that. It's funny.
Yeah, that's cool.
Hobble around.
What a story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird how things like that, like you're saying though, that how much of an effect they can have, and how it can really shape you.
Yeah, for sure. It's amazing, and I think it just goes to show you, like, we all, every person alive has these stories. Every person alive has these stories. It's a matter of how did we choose to frame them, and how did we choose to either like use them as fuel or frame them as, us being the victim of like a circumstance or something.
Right.
Because it can go so many different ways. Like, we have the opportunity to use these really, really, like, what a gift to look at them as a gift, and to use them to propel us into, what we came here to do. And speaking of purpose and authenticity, I think honestly, and I talk about this a lot, and it's hard when you're in the midst of it and you're really feeling it to talk about it like this. But I think that pain and suffering are like our greatest gifts when it comes to keeping us focused on our purpose. I really think that there's almost nothing more powerful than a really sharp contrast presented to us, so that we can go, oh, wow, I know that it's not this. Like, whatever it is for me, I know what that feels like, and I'm not sure what it is or what it looks like or how I'm going to get it, but I know for sure, given this circumstance I just went through, it's not this. And I think the not thises really help us crystallize into that path of purpose. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. I agree. That's a good one to put. That's great.
Yeah.
So, what is another thing that you feel helps guide people when they're, that you advise people on, or there's a lot of maybe someone who's feeling frustrated, or what kinds of advice do you generally give people who are frustrated by a problem and don't know really what to do about it?
Yeah. So the way that I look at it as a coach and like as a guide is that I never hold the advice that's going to solve your problems. It's like you're driving down a highway and you're in your car and you're the driver, and you either you're lost, or it's dark outside, or you took a wrong turn, or you're getting scared, or whatever the case may be. And it's like, I'm the person on the side of the road. And you have the option to invite me into the car, and I'll slide into the back seat and ride with you. And maybe I'll point out some things like, have you ever thought about what it might look like if you just pulled over to the side and paused for a minute to gather yourself? Or what could happen if you just took this exit and just went on a little scenic detour? Or what might it look like if we just pulled a whole U-turn and went straight back the way you came from? But the nice thing about that in that relationship is that I'm not in the driver's seat. I'm never in control of your car. I'm never the one calling the shots. I always assume that whomever I'm working with, whomever I'm guiding, is the expert in their life. Because honestly, we each came here with like this, almost like this soul map that we're following. And I'm not in your body, so I don't have your soul map. Only you possess that map, and only you can read that map. The beautiful thing, though, is that inviting someone else in at the same time can kind of help you illuminate parts of that map that you forgot or that you lost along the way. So it's a relationship, and it's a really special and different kind of relationship, and I think it's really, really sacred. Like inviting someone into your like soul map, like into your higher self space, is a really, really sacred and special place that we get to enter with people. It's just like the highest form of like a compliment to me for someone to trust me at that level, that they want to share that space with me.
Right.
So in working with clients, I always want them to remember that like they are the expert, and no matter what, even when they don't feel it, even when they're super lost and scared and frustrated, we can get them to a place where they remember what they came here for. Like you always possess all of the knowledge. Like it's like this, everyone holds it in different places. I hold it in my gut. It's like that gut level knowing where like I'll go out and ask 15 people a question about a circumstance that I'm in that I want advice about, and I already know the answer. I know I already know the answer. Right. It's sitting right down here. I know the answer, but I just want to hear one more person tell me that it's okay to make that decision. Or I want to hear one more person challenge me and tell me it's not okay, so it gives me enough courage to say, I'm going to do it anyway, But all of us are like that. Like we all actually have all the wisdom. We embody all of that deep lived wisdom to have the answers to our own questions. Sometimes we just need a guide who can help illuminate and pull that out of us, who can like turn us on to our own genius. And that's what we get to do as coaches.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it, that you're the expert of your own thing, and I'm not the one who can tell you.
Yep. Or I can tell you, I can give you really crappy advice, and then you cannot listen to me, and that will probably go better.
Well, there's also a degree of care too, that I like to say that I'm someone who cares so much about people. I've always cared so much about people, and I had to realize kind of the hard way that I cared about people more than they cared about themselves lots of times.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
and that really messed with me when I found when I found that out. And so I think that having care like that is a really important part of coaching, and to be able to show that to someone and have that for your clients is really important. It's immeasurably important to have someone who believes in you like that. It's worth way more than any amount of money that whatever you're charging, to have someone who really cares and really believes in you. That's hard. That's hard to find in this world.
It is, and it's not. But you know what? Here's the gorgeous thing about this. That is not something that you can fake. Either you care and it's really, really abundantly obvious, or you're trying to market yourself to make it look like you do, and you can feel the difference. Like you can intuit the difference between those two things.
Yeah,
like we humans have this great like radar system, this intuition system that tells us, is this person real? Or do they want me to think they are, but something feels off? Like we absolutely all have that capability to sense that. So I'm a terrible marketer, even though I went to school for journalism. I don't like it one bit. SEO and all that kind of stuff is not my jam. But I love people. And I would sit with people who I've never met before, either on Zoom or having coffee all day, every day, and talk to them about life and be the happiest person alive. And so like that, I pray, comes across in, people's digital interactions with me. That's what I lean on for marketing right there, is just me. So, I mean, you found me, so that's exciting. We connected somehow in the digisphere, so that's cool. That tells me something's working.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So you're on a lot of other channels besides LinkedIn these days, or where are you?
Yeah, so I hang out mainly on Instagram. I'm a really visual person, and I love the opportunity to just jump on Instagram and post a reel of whatever's on my mind in the moment, during the day. So I hang out on Instagram. I have a Spotify and a YouTube. I just started during my second season of my podcast. I started putting out my show on YouTube because I really wanted people to have that like video interaction with me.
Yeah.
So
that's a great way to build.
Yeah, my partner and I have a YouTube channel, Click Moments and Passionate Pursuits, The Unfolding. And then I also have Passionate Pursuits, my primary show and YouTube channel, and then and Spotify as well. Yeah, and then Facebook and LinkedIn. LinkedIn I mainly use for like my articles when I do my biweekly articles that I put out, and just to make connections with other like-minded entrepreneurs and business folks. So yeah.
Well, we'll have to make sure we follow each other on those channels.
Yeah, for sure.
Too.
Yeah, I love it. When did you start your podcast journey?
Maybe it's been not quite a year, maybe 6 or 8 months, something like that.
Okay.
I'm still under 100. That's what I'm told. If you get up to 100, that's when you really start to get a feel for your own style. But I figured out that's, if you do one a week, that's like 2 years of podcasts. So
right, it's a major time commitment. It is. Yep. I know. I've been doing it for a year and a half now, and it is a major commitment. It's something you really have to love it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
I heard there's a East Coast, West Coast kind of event for podcasters. I wanted to go to that.
Oh, I mean, gosh, I'm sure that they're all over the place. Yeah, yeah. It's really great to get together. I've had the opportunity at this point to get together with a few other podcasters, and some who are, relatively successful, and just, glean from them. And I'll tell you, it's so funny because the best advice I received was from a podcaster who is relatively well-known. His name is Ben Albert. He's local to me. He's got real business connections here in Rochester. And he is a phenomenal podcaster, amazing, incredible, authentic human, just a great person in general. And I connected with him at the beginning of my podcast journey and said, "Hey, Ben, I see you out there, making waves and doing amazing things. Can I get some advice from you?" And he willingly and happily met with me. And then we ended our conversation by him basically saying, "So all that to say, just go do it. Do it. Make a mess out of it. Realize that it's going to be rocky when you first start out and you're not going to know what the heck you're doing, and do it anyway. And then keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. And eventually it'll be like riding a bike, and you'll get, you'll take off the training wheels and you'll be flying. But, so it's so funny. Like I got to talk to some of the best podcasters, and they all said the same thing. And now I find myself saying the same thing. If you want to do it, just do it and see what happens. Because really, we build it up in our heads that we're going to do it and it's going to be a mess and no one's going to listen. Cool. If no one listens and you're a mess, then nobody knows you're a mess.
Right.
So it's not going to hurt you at all. And if nothing else, when you're famous and your podcast takes off, you'll be able to look back and laugh and show people that, you did it when you were a mess, and that's how you got to where you are today.
Yeah.
So, right. Yep. So best advice I received, and also frustrating, but it's true, and it's true in life, not just in podcasting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You want to do the thing, go give it a try. Yep.
Right. Yeah. It's true. I think there's no such thing as failure. It's just there's only outcomes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, right. And you and I have both experienced things in our lives that weren't necessarily, I'm sure we've experienced failures as well, what we'd label failures. But, when you experience a health crisis, you don't think of that as a failure. It's an opportunity you're getting presented with to learn. And that's exactly what a typical, failure is as well. It's an opportunity that you get presented with to learn some things. Okay. This is a great opportunity for me to learn that the next time I do this, I'm going to do it this way. But if we don't, if we get a mild success, does that really give us as much learning as a massive flop? It doesn't. Right. It doesn't. Yeah. A mild success tells you very little, if anything, but a massive flop tells you, well, that's definitely not it, and I'm going to make these major shifts. So again, it's that idea that pain or a failure or things that we would label typically negative really give us the biggest opportunity to learn and grow and make major progress in life.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think that maybe school kind of shoves you off on the wrong foot because it's constantly rewarding and of winning and
that's interesting. Yeah.
Dichotomy of winner loser and AF and
yeah, that's true. That's really interesting.
Right and wrong answers and pretending like everything's black and white.
Yeah. I can tell you when I was teaching full time, something I really, and I had the benefit of being an English teacher. So with a subject like English, you've got some wiggle room of being able to teach your students how to think and how to ask great questions, as opposed to needing them to have the right answer.
Yeah.
So the benefit in being an English teacher, and something that I did with my students, was just have these great involved discussions, and we'd get to the end and they'd be like, so what's the answer? What do you think? And I'm like, it's not about that. It doesn't matter what I think. What matters is you just learned how to go into a situation in life where there's a lot of gray area and ask some really important questions and come to what feels like a truth for yourself. That's the important thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So that must be why you wanted to teach English at the time too. A big part of the appeal. Yeah, definitely. I'm an artsy person, so I love I love expression. I love being able to encourage self-expression in myself and in my students. And yeah, the draw of English was like, wow, we get to have discussions about really critical topics that are going to resurface later in life.
and couch them in this discussion of like, you know, a boy and his dog. But what it's really about is, you know, learning how to be a good human and a good citizen, and ask good questions instead of just always taking someone else's opinion or advice on things.
Think for yourself, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And have an analytical mind about things. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
I think that gets lost a lot today.
Yeah, it does. It's a hard thing to teach, though. You know, I give teachers who are still working in the field a lot of credit for the work that they do, because it's hard enough doing it one-on-one. But doing it in a classroom full of 20 to 25 students and doing it well, man, that is an art gift that few people can really command.
Yeah. Yeah, my parents were both teachers, professors actually, so.
Yeah, yep.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I remember watching my dad give lectures, because I'd be able to like come up this side ramp to like the lecture hall, and I wouldn't even see all the people sitting in the lecture hall, even though it'd be like 100 people or something, you know, and I just see my dad standing there giving a lecture.
Yeah, that's cool.
It was really funny to me.
Yeah, that's cool to get to grow up with that and like see your parents in action like that.
Yeah.
Gives you a big appreciation for what they do.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, so anytime I had to speak in front of people, I always think of my dad, you know, going in every day and just doing that and thinking nothing of it, and that's what he did. So
yeah. Yep.
Why am I nervous?
Right. Yeah, that is. Yeah, I think being in education definitely helps you realize that you're very capable of public speaking, even if you never thought yourself a public speaker. Yeah, but it thrusts you into that place, and it's like, oh, you know what? This isn't quite as terrible as I had built it up in my head to be. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you can always have that place in your head where you feel like you're talking to a really close friend, and
right,
and you can always go back to how that feels, even though you're not talking to a really close friend at the time. So
yeah, and I think podcasting too. You know, I mean, you do public speaking every time you record a podcast. You're public speaking. You may not see all of the listeners, you know, who are on the other end, but you're certainly reaching a wide audience, and it's still, you know, it's still public speaking. So I think the more that we can get comfortable with being, I think it starts with being honest with ourselves. You know, am I comfortable being honest with myself about who I am and what I'm going through? And when I'm comfortable with that, then can I be comfortable getting really honest and vulnerable with a large group of people about who I am and what I'm going through? Recognizing that when I'm there talking to that audience and that group of people, 9 out of 10 of the people in that room have felt or are feeling the same thing that I'm feeling. It's where we get into our heads and tell ourselves that we're the only ones that we start, you know, losing the battle.
Yeah, it's true, and that's what the ego wants. It wants to isolate you and
separation. Yep, I'm different.
On the pedestal and all that stuff.
Yep, for sure. Yep. Oh yeah. As soon as you start to see yourself as one of many and start to see like the mirror that everyone else's humanity is to you, that ego gets real scared.
Yeah.
You know, so it says, I'm not unique. I'm not the only one. Oh my gosh, this is terrible. Yep.
It's like the small snake brain.
The reptilian brain. Yep.
Thinking with the fear and the snake brain.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting phenomenon I've experienced. It really like getting to see what an intense mirror other people are for our like emotional state. And you can practice this. You don't have to practice this in a public speaking setting, but it definitely is amplified in that setting. But you can just practice this walking into a room of people, walking into the library, like feel the emotional state that you're carrying and watch how people respond to you, who makes eye contact, what their gestures look like. Do they lean in? Do they back up? What do you feel from them? Like, what energetic feeling do you get from people? And recognize what it is that you're broadcasting and then what you receive from the people, who are in the room. And then when you're public speaking, gosh, if you're nervous or if you're carrying like a negative vibration, it sure gets amplified. But there's also the gift of if you step up there and you have just decided that you want to share love and you want to be vulnerable and you're excited, that like people lean in and all of a sudden there's this whole shift in the energy of a room just from you consciously being aware of what, energetic vibration you're putting out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, that's true. I love talking about energy and people.
Yeah. Yeah, I could go on and on forever, so,
Well, we should do maybe another podcast sometime if you want to, where I can be on your show maybe.
Yep, absolutely. I love pod swaps. I'm down for that anytime. Yep. Okay. Continue the conversation, and I would love to hear what it is that your listeners are needing, what they want to hear more about, what topics like really pinged them that they'd love for us to go in depth on, and we'll dig in and go for it.
Okay, I'll think about that. Definitely. That sounds good.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the invitation.
Yeah, absolutely. Really great talking with you, Bridget. And Happy New Year.
Thank you. Yes, Happy New Year to you too. That's right.
All right, well, take care.
Awesome. Take care. Talk to you soon.
All right,
okay. Bye.